Afternoon, everyone. So, I took a break from building my vault to finish off the slog. Really pleased with how it's turned out so far. It took a long time because it was a lot bigger than most of the settlements I've been usually doing on this save, with the exception of Sanctuary, which we all know how long that took. There's Deacon, all the way in the corner over there. For those of you who want an unnarrated tour without my waffling, rambling, and general bullshit, there'll be a link in the description to skip ahead to the tour at the end, which is unnarrated, just goes around the entire settlement, and also there'll be a wee pop-up that will be up already for you to click. I don't blame you, to be honest. I do have a habit of talking way too much. So, this is the entrance. I'm really pleased with how this turned out. As you can see, I've basically added detail to the concrete walls. It works really well. It's really simple to do. It actually looks a little bit better on this side, to be honest. As you can see, so I've added little bits and pieces just to kind of break up the monotony. Also, there's a nude caravan guard over there, because why not? But this is probably my favourite part. One of my favourite. Basically, it's all about kind of drawing the eye and just kind of just focus points of the entire settlement. And this one looks really good, because ultimately there's not really much you could almost do here. You couldn't really build much. The building limit actually ends about here, I believe. So what I ended up doing was basically using reversed fences into the ground here to basically kind of give it a feeling of being a bit more reinforced. Also, there are lots of the heavy laser turrets around here with all of the gunners and ghouls and super mutants that like to attack this place. And here I've just actually used normal walls and then sunk them into the ground, and then also had fences on the top, so it looks really cool. But here's a cool thing. Yay! Where does it come from? It's magic. It looks cool, but gotta kind of wonder where the actual doorway goes to. But it looks grand. It's alright. I don't have many, because basically I want this to have just ghouls in it. I don't actually have many extra settlers, so there aren't any guards just yet. But I tried to kind of get some to spawn at my settlements, but it took too fucking long, and I thought, you know what? It's alright. Anyway. Now, here is the one room I didn't decorate very much. The reason being, as a lot of you may know, is you can't actually scrap everything in here. Like, you can't scrap the beds, and it just basically put me off decorating here so much. It looks alright, so all I did is just add a little bit of rubber on the ground and put a couple of crates. But to be honest, there's not really much you can do in here, so I just left it as is. Put a sink in there, and I've got a water fountain somewhere as well. Another sink over here. So it's nothing really fancy in here, but to be honest, you can't really do anything to it, so I just left it as it was. And I've got another wee door there. Those basically use the atrium doorway, snap a door into it, use the pillar glitch, boom. It's at the perfect height, and it sinks in wonderfully. So, so here's, actually start from the pool first. So this is the actual slog bog thing. Now, a lot of you already seen this before from the last kind of temporarily finished video, because I haven't really done anything else to this area beyond just putting a Brahmin, obviously, in the pool, but also just adding a water purifier. Actually, I physically have done nothing, mainly because the last video I'd already finished this one. So let's leave that as it is, but I'm quite pleased with it. Those haven't seen, basically. I've put a ramp there. Added some supports here. Just the idea of the basic adding detail where there isn't detail before. I've also got Slogbot who happily guards the entrance to the pool. I've also got a few ghouls wandering around as well. So let's do the bottom level first rather. So this is my food and booze area. This is also where Wiseman lives. He lives over there. One thing with this something, because it's quite a lot bigger, there is some junk, quite a reasonable amount of junk around, but it isn't as packed as, say, Sanctuary is. For some reason, Sanctuary doesn't get as glitchy as this one. But I noticed quite a lot of frame rate drops, especially at the market up there. So I put a junk around, but not too much. So this is the Rad Stop. I'm ishy on that name, I'll be completely honest. I've got two bars as well, as many may know. One over here, one over there rather, and one over here. I've got my wee bus, which is decorated very similar to Sheffield's in Sanctuary, but it looks cool. Got some stuffs around here. I really love those crates that came with the Vault-Tec DLC. Because I like filler crates, like stuff I can just kind of fill up gaps with. and those crates are just perfect because they're varied enough that you can just keep rotating them around. But you see them all throughout the game anyway with Bethesda doing it, and it just works really, really well. So here is where that, you can't see it because I've disabled the HUD, but that's Tina. That's one of the dogs from the Far Harbor DLC that you can purchase from the Super Mutant. So she lives here in her little area. Still an ugly as fuck building, I'm not going to lie, but I needed to fill that space. Here is the Overseer's stroke Wiseman's house. Here's where he chills. Here's where he makes his phone calls. That for some reason he never gets response. It's almost as if that phone isn't connected. Haha. Here's his room. As you can see, I put a little bit of drunk around, but I've had to be a bit more conservative. I like this one though, because it has a feeling of openness, and it's just got his little place to do his guns work, and it's just all grand. And also, I'm really falling for these canopies. I've never used them really at all. For some reason, this settlement, I'm like, actually, you know what? They're all right. So let's go on the top of the thing up here. It's not very fancy, but let's have a look-see. Let's put a few. I like these tables and chairs. They're all good, and I quite like this. I've always been struggling of how to make a kind of a route up around a bus. I was actually going to build on top of the bus, but to be honest, it's the thickness of it just doesn't really work and looks a bit weird. Right, here's my loos. The loo, rather. This was the bog. I did tweet a video of this, a picture of this rather, on Twitter, but I realised because that over there is technically the bog, I renamed it to the loo. Here is my little area where, as you can see now, the dock sits. This is basically because I didn't want an actual trading post here because I already had a trader who visits. So instead, I just kind of built around this area. As I said, I've already made a video on that. Here's my towers. You've seen me in the early videos make these. These are same old, but I quite like them using the scaffolding, and they really suit the style of the settlement quite a lot. Let's go over here. As you can see as well, like, I really love how I'm really pleased with the effect of actually basically closing the gaps up in the fence here. It gives an idea of kind of like mini districts. You know how the way of Sanctuary and Diamond City are technically meant to be bigger than how the player sees them, like that they're scaled down. I like to think the Slog would be a scaled down settlement as well. Like, in actual fact, it would be, you know, 4 or 5 times the size of this, and these would be kind of various districts. So let's go over here. I said I've already technically shown these in another video, but let's show again. So this is the fish tank. It's basically a generator whose textures for some reason haven't actually appeared yet. Bump mapping. This is the fish tank. Basically it's surrounded by the workshop, the warehouse rather, barn pieces. And I basically just put a couple of disco balls and a blue light. It just looks like a fish tank, which is hence why it's called the fish tank. We do lots of our work over here. It's all cool. Bar. Bar. I think I've just shown you that already. Let's go around. Okay, so this is the greenhouse area. Now, I really like, I've mentioned this before, I really just genuinely like the way the greenhouses look. I'll show you that in a sec. So I don't really make them very interesting, if I'm completely honest, because I just like them. But basically, I like greenhouses in this game. Their aesthetic works. Basically, I've lit it up. You're right there, love. That's not where you work. It's alright, that doesn't normally happen. Pillar glitched a few of the bathtubs in to add a bit more texture to where the farm is. Put a few tables with some fertilizer. I was going to put more. That stuff you can't actually pick up because it's apparently too heavy, so I had to actually use a workshop to actually drop it there, then smack it with a baseball bat because me punching it wouldn't knock it over. That was fun. It's quite cool. This is a big farm as well, so they provide a lot of water. A lot of food, rather, actually, but it also provides a lot of water with that. I do get my words. Anyway, so this is going to be, these are going to be one of these or something similar to one of these in all of my settlements. This is basically my Minuteman little kind of outpost. I'm using the security desk that came with the Vault-Tec Workshop. And I really like the way this has worked out. Also, there's a gun on the floor somewhere. Somewhere, it doesn't matter, it's alright. One thing about this, though, is I was actually going to use the new kind of, I think they're called a control point. The basically in the security tab, once you finish the Vault-Tec DLC, you actually get like a structure that almost looks like this, which you probably see them around the vaults, but you can't actually build in them. And it's an absolute nightmare. I don't know why they've had that. You can't even place anything on top of them. Inside them, you can't place anything on the outside. So initially that was there, and I scrapped the entire thing. Will you shut the fuck up, Deirdre? Yeah, you'd be called Deirdre, by the way, in England, just so you know, not Deirdre. Anyway, I really like my Minuteman flag as well. I actually basically just pillar glitched 2 of the support posts from the contraptions. Jesus, you people won't stop talking! The contraptions DLC, so the, from the ball track sections. Yeah, ball track sections. And I pillar glitched them together and then put 2 of the railings together to give me some room so I could actually hang a fence. And it just looks pretty cool in here. I quite like this. The munitions were kindly donated by some gunners and the forge nearby. Here is where my Brahmin lives, as you can see, making all his bloody noise. Not as noisy as you fuckers, though. Just basically just sunk some fences in. It looks pretty cool. Pretty satisfying little enclosure, that. I've left this pretty much untouched. Annoyingly, we don't have children in this for them to, you know, have families and shit. But were they to have families, they would have some totally safe for children. Look at that. I mean, that's just... Is that just frozen? Is that that's not either. I like to think that's possibly just really rusty. This one works. There we go. Got a working swing. That works, kind of. You might cut yourself a little bit. And that actually looks completely safe. Oh, wait. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. Right, yeah, so there we go. Children, bring your kids to the Slog. It's very child-friendly. See? I haven't named this school yet, but he's friendly as hell. Also, by the way, I've got, like with the front, because basically the main spawning points for the enemies are in the front and at the back. So I've got heavy laser turrets everywhere. I've got 4 down this side, and I've got 2 at the front. And that pretty much makes short work of anything bar a Deathclaw. Right, so let's go up at the top here. This is the market, which I'm quite chuffed by. So goods and guns. Well, apparently very unique name. I'm probably not being very interesting today, but well. It looks really good. Now, I was actually going to make this area a lot more colourful than it actually is. Though in the tour, when it's during the Radstorm, it looks really colourful for some reason. But basically, I kept it kind of low-key a little bit. So basically, I've got my little table with various crap. I've got my ghoul. As the trader. He actually came dressed like that as well. He just looks so perfect. Don't have a trader for the other one yet. But as I said, this is going to be ghouls only, and all of those guys have jobs. A good trick when you're actually kind of wanting to decorate with junk. I tend to visit a specific area and only pick up all of the junk in that area and then plump it down. The reason being is for some reason it just kind of, there seems to be a slight theme. So for example, all of this is from University Point. I just went to University Point and just picked up everything, and this is what I ended up with. And it just, for some reason, just because they put thought into their shops and their areas and what junk you find into there, it kind of weirdly suits the junk that you're placing yours. But I really like this, just the colour, as you see in the tour, it just, there's a lot of energy here. I deliberately didn't put any chairs or anything next to this table because I found that when you put chairs next to tables and then put junk on the tables, your settlers will sit down and just knock everything over. I've got some workstations around here. It's all very grand. Let's have a look inside the houses. That's what happens when you remove the rugs, by the way. I might actually take those off and just put the little rubber rugs that came in the Vault-Tec Workshop, because otherwise they just sink into the ground. Lots of copper here. He knows what people want, and a toy truck. I really like these beds. Still pissed we don't have bunk beds, but well. It's got a little dining area. It's all very happy. Said so you had to kind of keep the junk a little bit not as busy as I'd like. Oh, we can get a Radstorm. It's alright. It's all good. It looks good in a Radstorm anyway, and you're going to see it in a tour in a Radstorm anyway. You are! Look at that. Radstorms suit this area a lot. So yeah, I've kept the rug on this one. I'm going to take them off. Because just to be honest, if you leave the rug on, I'm going to put like the little rubber ones to have a long stretch of them so it doesn't look out of place. I'm not going to reload during this Radstorm because it actually makes the area look really nice, but I will. It'll conveniently time into the unrated tour at the end. So this is the weapon dude shop when I finally get him. Pretty much the same kind of style, really. His own little scrap here. Weapon mods, by the way, very good decoration. Also, there was a mini nuke There were 2. But yeah, that's it. Oh, look at that. You'll see it in the tour, and I'm spoiling it now, but it looks so good in Radstone. Oh my god, it looks so good in a Radstorm. Oh, so good. Alright, everyone. Well, so that was my tour of the Slog. As I said, there'll be an underrated tour in a second, so those of you who regret listening to me waffle on, well, you'll learn next time, won't you? As always, follow me on Twitter at norespawns. I'm going to be going back to I'm going to finish all the vault stuff now before I go back to any settlements. Though I probably will be building settlements in my spare time. I'll just make sure to keep the footage. Yes, I'm actually curious to see what you guys have done to the Slog as well. Send me some pictures or send me some Twitter videos as well, because I'm curious. Because, as I mentioned before, how this Slog looks utterly different to the Slog that I made 4 or 5 months ago, and I'm quite pleased with how you can make one area just look like a completely different area. It's absolutely fantastic. Anyway, enjoy the underrated tour, and I love you all. Take care.
I keep busy fixing the meals and tending house.